Sarah's enthusiasm was contagious, evident from the sparkling gleam in her blue eyes and the playful bounce in her step as she approached Jenna's front door. She clutched an aged map of the local forest in her hand, pointing to a shaded spot that looked perfect for a weekend getaway. "You know this place is rumoured to be haunted, right?" Jenna remarked, leaning against her doorframe, her eyebrows raised skeptically. Sarah laughed. "That's just local law to keep tourists out and maintain its beauty." "Come on, Jen. Imagine the campfires, the stargazing, the memories. We need this." Jenna sighed. She was never the adventurous type, preferring the comfort of her bed and the predictability of her routine. "Who else is in?" Sarah smirked. "Mia." Jenna's eyes widened. "Mia? The girl from our history class who always sits in the back and doodles in her notebook." "The very one," Sarah affirmed. "She's not as reserved as you think. We ran into each other at the library, and when I mentioned the trip, she seemed intrigued." Intrigued was an understatement. Jenna remembered those doodles Mia made, mysterious symbols and cryptic patterns that often bordered on unsettling. She'd always chalked it up to Mia's artistic flair, but the idea of spending a weekend in the woods with her did set Jenna's nerves on edge. "I don't know, Sarah," Jenna began, hesitant. Sarah's playful demeanour shifted and her tone softened. "Look, Jenna, it's been a tough year for all of us. We've been cooped up, dealing with our own demons. This trip, the woods, the freedom, it's our chance to break away and rejuvenate." Jenna looked down, her mind racing with a mixture of anxiety and longing. The idea of a break was tempting, and she did trust Sarah implicitly. After what felt like an eternity, she finally nodded. "Okay, I'm in." Sarah squealed in delight, wrapping Jenna in a tight hug. "You won't regret this. I promise." They spent the next hour planning the journey, discussing supplies, and picking out the ideal camping spot. Sarah showed Jenna the old ruins marked on the map, hinting at a forgotten past and local legends. Jenna's curiosity was piqued, despite her reservations. As evening approached, Sarah left Jenna's home with a spring in her step, her excitement evident. Jenna, however, was left with a strange unease. She couldn't put her finger on it, but something about the trip felt off. She remembered Mia's cryptic doodles and shuddered, hoping her intuition was wrong. That night, Jenna dreamt of dense woods, fog that hid sinister secrets, and the haunting echo of whispers she couldn't quite comprehend. Mornings in Jenna's town had a calmness that belied the turbulence of her dream. She was up early, packing her belongings, when her phone buzzed with a message. A chill ran down her spine as she saw an image from Mia, a symbol that looked eerily similar to one she'd seen in her dream. "Thought you'd find this interesting," read the accompanying text. Taking a deep breath to steady her nerves, Jenna responded. "Where did you find this?" Mia replied almost instantly. "It's been in my family for generations, said to be connected to the forest we're heading to. Just a heads up." Jenna felt a weight in her stomach. She was about to call Sarah to voice her concerns when there was a knock on her door. It was Sarah, all smiles, her red hair reflecting the morning sun, holding up 2 large backpacks. Mia stood behind her, her expression unreadable. "Ready to head into the great unknown?" Sarah quipped, her enthusiasm unchanged. Jenna forced a smile. "As ready as I'll ever be." The journey to the forest was uneventful. Sarah drove, filling the car with cheerful chatter and anecdotes. Mia sat silently, her gaze fixed outside, seemingly lost in thought. Jenna tried to engage her in conversation, curious about the symbol Mia had sent earlier. "That symbol? It's a protection charm," Mia said, her voice soft. "My grandmother said it was passed down through our family to safeguard against the unknown." Sarah laughed, thinking it was a joke. "Oh, come on, Mia. We're just camping, not summoning spirits." Jenna's unease grew, but she didn't want to be the one to dampen the mood. They reached the forest by noon. The trees were tall and dense with a canopy that let in just the right amount of sunlight. It looked serene, but the atmosphere was thick with an energy Jenna couldn't quite place. As they set up camp, Sarah found a clearing that seemed perfect. But Mia hesitated. "We shouldn't camp here," she whispered. "Why?" Jenna asked. Mia pointed to the ground. There, barely visible, were remnants of symbols etched into the earth, eerily similar to Mia's charm. The clearing was no random spot, it was a ritual circle. "Maybe it's just some kids playing around," Sarah reasoned, ever the optimist. "We can't let some old symbols ruin our trip." Reluctantly, Mia agreed, though her unease was palpable. That night, as they sat around the campfire, the forest sound seemed amplified. Every rustle, every distant hoot, carried with it a foreboding echo. The fire cast long, flickering shadows, and Jenna could swear she saw figures dancing just beyond the light's reach. It was Sarah who broke the silence with a proposal. "Let's each share a secret, something we've never told anyone." Mia hesitated, then nodded. Jenna was unsure, but the atmosphere felt right for confessions. However, as each took their turn, they could not shake off the feeling that the forest was listening, absorbing their words, their fears, and their truths. The chapter closes with Jenna lying in her tent, the whispers from her dream returning, growing louder with each passing second, and as sleep claimed her, she couldn't help but feel they weren't alone in the woods. Jenna awoke to a peculiar stillness. The usual morning symphony of chirping birds and rustling leaves was absent. Instead, a muffled silence enveloped the campsite. Unzipping her tent, she found Mia already up, staring intently at a spot on the ground. Approaching cautiously, Jenna realized Mia was observing a small hand-dug hole with a peculiar-looking amulet resting at its edge. It bore the same symbol Mia had shared. "Mia," Jenna began, "did you—" Before she could finish, Mia interrupted. "It wasn't me. I found it like this." Sarah emerged from her tent, rubbing her eyes. "What's all the commotion?" On seeing the amulet, her casual demeanor shifted. "Is that—" Mia nodded. "It's identical to the one my family has." Sarah crouched down to inspect it more closely. "This looks ancient. What if someone's trying to send a message? Or what if it's just another camper's item?" Jenna, recalling her dream and the eerie silence of the morning, wasn't convinced. "We need to understand what's happening here." Mia, holding the amulet gently, whispered, "There's a story in my family about a guardian of the forest. This symbol was her mark. She was said to protect something powerful and sacred within these woods." Deciding they needed more answers, the trio set off deeper into the forest, guided partly by Mia's instincts and the peculiar pull of the amulet. The dense canopy overhead filtered the sunlight into a soft, ethereal glow, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. After what felt like hours, they stumbled upon old ruins, possibly the remains of a long-forgotten settlement. The structures were overrun with moss and creepers, but the symbol was unmistakably etched on many of the surfaces. "This is the place," Mia murmured, her voice filled with awe. As they explored, Jenna discovered a journal, its pages yellowed with age, hidden beneath a pile of rocks. The entries were written in a hurried script, detailing the rituals performed in the forest, the power harnessed, and the responsibility of the guardian. The last few pages were unsettling. They spoke of betrayal, a forbidden ritual, and a curse that would awaken if disturbed. Sharing her find with the others, Sarah's adventurous spirit took a somber turn. "We need to be careful. This isn't just some ordinary camping trip anymore." Mia, clutching the amulet tightly, added, "We need to find the source of this power and ensure it remains protected." Determined to uncover the mystery and perhaps right the wrongs of the past, the group decided to spend another night in the forest despite the growing dangers. But as dusk approached, an eerie fog enveloped the ruins. Shapes seemed to move within it, and the whispers Jenna heard in her dreams grew louder, now echoing in the waking world. As they prepared for the night, an unsettling realization dawned on Jenna. The forest wasn't just alive, it was awake. The fog grew denser as night fell, casting an almost tangible pall over the campsite. Every so often, silhouettes moved at the edge of visibility, too insubstantial to be real, yet too defined to be mere tricks of the light. Huddled around a campfire that seemed to repel the encroaching mist, the girls tried to formulate a plan. The warmth of the flames provided minimal comfort against the chilling whispers that seemed to come from all directions. "It's clear the forest is trying to tell us something," Mia stated, her fingers playing with the amulet around her neck. "I believe we're close to the heart of its power." Sarah, her usual bravado subdued, responded, "The journal mentioned a curse. We need to find out what happened and how to set things right." Jenna, recalling a particular entry from the journal, began to read aloud. "The heart of the forest lies where the guardian's spirit rests. Only by mending what was broken can the curse be lifted." Determined to find this resting place, the trio decided to follow the amulet's pull. Guided only by its faint glow and Mia's intuition, they journeyed deeper into the fog-shrouded forest. After navigating through thick underbrush and winding paths, they arrived at a clearing where an ancient tree stood, its gnarled branches stretching upwards, as if in a plea to the heavens. At its base was a stone altar, with the guardian symbol etched prominently in the centre. Mia approached the altar, her movements reverent. As she placed the amulet upon it, the whispers coalesced into a singular voice, filled with sorrow and longing. A spectral figure materialized before them, her form echoing the youthful beauty of a time long past. The guardian. She spoke of her duty to protect the forest's heart, a powerful gem that balanced the energies of the land. Betrayed by someone she loved, the heart was used in a forbidden ritual, forever tainting its power and casting the forest into eternal unrest. "To restore the balance," the guardian spirit whispered, her voice fading, "the heart must be returned to its rightful place." Jenna, her resolve strengthened, asked, "Where can we find this heart?" The guardian pointed towards the darkest part of the forest, where even the brave dared not tread. "There, in the cavern of shadows, guarded by those who have lost their way." With a final plea for them to restore what was broken, the guardian's spirit dissipated, leaving the girls with a heavy responsibility. As they prepared to venture into the forest's most perilous depths, Sarah, usually so fearless, admitted, "I'm scared." Mia, gripping the now inert amulet, nodded. "So am I. But we have a chance to fix this." Jenna, feeling the weight of the journal in her pocket, added, "We have a guide and each other. We can do this." And so, with the darkness as their cloak and determination as their guide, the trio ventured forth to find the heart and restore the forest's balance. The forest around the cavern of shadows was different, darker, denser, and more oppressive. The trees seemed to lean in, as if eavesdropping on their journey. Every rustle, every snap of a twig seemed magnified, building an atmosphere thick with anticipation. As they approached the cavern entrance, the inky blackness from within seemed almost palpable, like a void eager to swallow them whole. Sarah hesitated at the threshold, her torchlight barely piercing the darkness. "We need to stick together," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Who knows what lurks in there?" Mia, taking a deep breath, led the way. Jenna followed closely, clutching the journal as if it were a lifeline. Inside, the cavern was a maze of tunnels and chambers, with walls that seemed to shift and pulse as if alive. The deeper they ventured, the more disoriented they became. The silence was broken only by their soft footsteps and the distant, haunting echoes of lost souls, the very ones the Guardian had mentioned. In one particularly vast chamber, the ground was littered with relics and artifacts, remnants of previous adventurers who had perhaps sought the heart but never made it out. Among them, Jenna spotted a familiar-looking charm, identical to Mia's amulet. Picking it up, she turned to Mia, only to find her entranced, her eyes vacant, whispering an incantation Jenna couldn't comprehend. The chamber began to vibrate, its energy resonating with Mia's chant. Sarah, sensing danger, tried to disrupt the chant, shouting Mia's name. But it was as if Mia was in another world, unreachable. Suddenly, ghostly apparitions began to materialize, circling the trio. These were the lost souls, drawn to Mia's call. Among them, a more solid figure emerged, the very person who had betrayed the Guardian. His eyes burned with a mixture of guilt and longing. Jenna, thinking quickly, began to read a passage from the journal, a counter-incantation that could potentially dispel the spirits. The words seemed to create a protective barrier around them, the spirits recoiling with every uttered syllable. As the final words left her lips, the chamber was filled with a blinding light. When it faded, Mia was on the ground, disoriented but alive. The apparitions were gone, but in their place, resting on a pedestal, was the heart of the forest, a gem pulsating with energy. Sarah, ever the brave one, approached it cautiously. "We need to return this to the Guardian's tree." Mia, recovering, nodded. "And I need to be the one to do it. I felt its power, its pull. It's my family's legacy." With the heart secured and the dangers of the cavern behind them, the trio made their way back to the surface, the weight of their responsibility pressing down on them but also providing a newfound purpose. Returning to the Guardian's tree, the forest seemed different. The oppressive atmosphere had lightened slightly, as if the woods sensed the heart's proximity and yearned for its return. Standing before the stone altar, Mia placed the gem at its centre. Almost instantly the ground trembled, and the ancient tree's branches swayed, creating a melodic rustling sound that echoed throughout the forest. The spectral figure of the Guardian emerged once more, her form brighter and more solid than before. With a nod of gratitude, she reached for the heart, holding it aloft. As she did, a wave of energy emanated from it, washing over the forest and restoring balance. The once menacing whispers transformed into harmonious songs of joy and gratitude. The trees seemed to stand taller, the air grew fresher, and the entire forest came alive with renewed vigour. The Guardian, her duty fulfilled, turned to the trio. "Thank you," she said, her voice clear and resonant. "The forest is in your debt, the curse is lifted, and balance is restored." Mia, tears in her eyes, replied, "It was my family's legacy to protect this place. I'm just glad we could set things right." The Guardian smiled. "Your journey was not easy, but you have shown resilience, courage, and heart. The forest will remember." With a final shimmering glow, the Guardian and the heart merged, and the tree absorbed them, sealing away the power and ensuring the forest's protection. Sarah, ever the pragmatist, said, "We should probably head back. Our families will be worried." Jenna, clutching the journal, nodded. "And we have a story to tell. This adventure, this legacy, it needs to be shared." As they packed their camp and began their journey home, the forest seemed to guide them, making their path clear and their journey swift. Months later, back in their hometown, the girls would often recount their adventure, each time adding new details and nuances. While many dismissed it as mere fiction, those who truly listened could hear the whispers of truth in their tale. The forest remained a place of mystery and wonder, but those who ventured into it spoke of a protective presence, a guardian spirit that watched over them. As for Mia, Jenna, and Sarah, their bond was unbreakable. They had faced dangers untold and emerged stronger, their destinies forever intertwined with the heart of the forest. And so, as seasons changed and years passed, the legend of the Guardian, the heart, and the 3 brave girls who restored balance to the forest grew, leaving open the possibility of more adventures, more mysteries, and more stories waiting to be told.